Motivational speakers and pastors. Two very different things. Don't listen to me at all. Ever. No, seriously, you will not have to give an account of what you thought that I said. You will be held accountable for what you do. Be careful. Be careful who you listen to, and make sure you qualify everything everyone says before you believe it, even if it comes from me. Let me start by saying, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needs not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. That doesn't mean just listen to someone and take what they say as truth. It means study to search out, to see if what they are saying is actually true. Also, don't accept it because it sounds good and it's pleasing to your ear. I want to eat ice cream all day, every day. That sounds delicious, but that doesn't mean it is good for me. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 13 says that a time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having an itching ear, they will accumulate for themselves teachers that suit their own passions. Do not look for a preacher or a teacher that suits your passions. Rather, search for one that will challenge you to change your heart to match that of God's. Verse 4 goes on to say they will turn away from listening to truth, and they will wander into myths.
Words are like seeds. When you speak something out, you give life to what you're saying. If you continue to say it, eventually that can become a reality. Whether you realize it or not, you are prophesying your future.
Beware of cunning words such as this one. He is very careful enough to say, if you continue to say, eventually, maybe it can become a reality. The problem is you don't have the authority to prophesy anything into your future. It does not matter how many times you say you are going to marry Beyonce. It ain't happening. Yes, life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of its fruit. But that passage does not say you can speak anything into reality. It is a proverb, a wise saying. It does not say you can prophesy anything. The author's intent and application speaks to encourage you to be careful with your words. Why? Because you may end up eating them. And no, your words cannot create worlds. You are not God. Speaking things into existence is exclusive to God alone. Romans 4:17 is often misquoted, and if you look at the context, it is God speaking and not man. Mark 11:24, whatever you ask for, does not speak to bringing things into existence or prophesying. Can you pray for somebody else's wife or husband? I know some of y'all try it, but I'm saying, is it scripturally supported that God has to honor that prayer and meet that? Scripture must be taken in context. If we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. His will, 1 John 5, verse 14. We are told, urged, and encouraged to submit our will to God's will, not that he will be our personal genie. In Psalms 37:4 says that delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Some people take this to mean that you can ask for whatever your heart desires. But is that what the author meant? Because scripture also says that man's heart is wicked from his youth. Jeremiah 17:9 tells us that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So does that mean God will give you wicked things? No. Delight yourself in the Lord and he will give your heart what to desire. Your desires will adjust to what is his. In coordination to 1 John, your will needs to align with his, not the other way around. Be very careful of individuals who speak their opinion and don't teach scripture. When pastors start out with a statement that's saying at the risk of sounding heretical, I suggest you run for the hills right then, because they're about to say something heretical. Pastor Jamal Bryant, a very popular pastor with a large ministry. Let's just watch the clip.
At the risk of being heretical tonight, might I suggest to you that 85% of Jesus's life, he was out of order. 85% of his life, he was doing what he was not called to do. God, y'all done got quiet. For 85% of his life, he was not flowing in his God-given function. 85% of his life, he is doing what his natural father wanted. But it did not line up with his divine DNA. For 85% of his life, and he's anointed, he's called, he's chosen, and he's wrong.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
He claims that 85% of Jesus' life, he was out of order. Is that to say Jesus was sinful? Is that what you were saying? Because if you are out of order, then you are not in order with the commands of God. If you are not in order of the commands of God, then you are disobedient, ergo sinful. If his statement is accurate, that would make Jesus sinful. If Jesus was sinful, he was not God, therefore not a suitable sacrifice to atone for the sins of man, and it makes him a liar. He also states 85% of his life he was not doing what he was called to do.
For 30 years, Bishop, he's wrong. He's out of order.
But Jamal doesn't provide any evidence to support such a claim. He says because he wasn't in ministry, he wasn't doing what he was called to do. That contradicts scripture as well. In a situation with Jesus and his mother at the wedding, Jesus even himself stated it was not his time yet, which affirms that he was doing exactly what he was supposed to do, and he knew when he was supposed to do it. Again, when pastors say, in fear of saying something heretical, or whenever a pastor warns you, this may sound heretical, it probably is. You probably need to get out of there. Be careful of these individuals. It's statements like these that make me smack my head. I don't even want to play any more of that heresy for you. It sounds entertaining, sounds nice, like it's new information or new revelation, but it contradicts scripture. Watch out for individuals who say things that sound good, but don't line up with scripture.
Whether you realize it or not, you are prophesying your future.
It sounds good, but it doesn't line up with scripture nor reality. And Paul actually calls for us to call out these individuals and to make sure that we do not give them place in our home, place in our ear, place in our heart. He actually calls for us to call them out by name. A warning to you. If you're listening or sitting under false teaching or teaching like this, I encourage you, take a look at it closely, line it up with scripture, and if it doesn't match, Paul calls for us to call out those false teachings so that other people will know. Remember, Paul said in specific, if someone brings something different than the gospel that we have already brought you, you are not to receive them at all. And this has been another episode of Justified by Score. Hope you appreciated this. And if you disagree with anything that I said, I am pretty sure I will hear about it. And I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Until next time, Lord willing, of course, peace and grace.